So this here is an Audi S4, but it's not any Audi S4. I will tell you that because I've been waiting to get the right one to show everybody on my channel, New Car Spin. That's because everyone's been rushing to see the S4 and I haven't. I've been waiting for Prestige, dynamic steering, S Sport package, which this has all of that and more. It has nappa leather. It actually has red nappa leather. And I'll show you that in a moment. But first, let me explain to you what else this has. It has the red brake calipers, which are a giveaway to the S Sport package. And obviously it's got tinted windows. It's a little dirty. I have carbon fiber here, so that's an extra. And you'll still see I have the quad tailpipes. Interestingly, this is a twin scroll turbocharged V6 engine. So if you haven't seen my S5 Sportback video, this is very similar to that, except it doesn't have that Sportback coupe look. It's just a standard sedan, basically. But let me show you. There it is, 3-liter, 354 horsepower, yada yada. Okay, Magma Red interior. Prestige, which includes heads-up display, LED interior lighting, Audi virtual cockpit, side assist, and now S Sport is red brake calipers, adaptive damping suspension, rear sport diff. It goes on and on and on and on with the options. Very nice options, fully loaded. This is about as loaded as I could find. And well, I'm gonna share this with you guys. So please like and subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, because that allows me to bring more videos to you guys. Here we go. We have total price $66,570. So that's like the worst damage you could possibly do to yourself, is getting fully loaded for about $65,000-ish. All right, you want to see the interior? Oh, look at that. So this reminds me a lot of the S6 that I drove a couple years ago with this red interior. You'll see here the details as well. The details also show up in the stitching. And you can kind of see the reflection of the red seats in the carbon fiber. Very nice. Of course, because this is an S5, we do get massage seats. That's a nice touch. For those of you interested in what the back seat looks like, you can see we have nice hard finish backs to the seats. They're obviously fixed headrests, they don't adjust. They are split folding seats. So if you like red, this is for you. Let's see what it sounds like, shall we? Okay, that was cool. I'm gonna also pop the hood here because I actually want to see something for my own benefit here. What I'm interested in seeing here is where this engine is in comparison to the front wheel axle. So here we are, just taking the camera straight up, and yep, the engine is like pretty much in front of the wheels. So some of you have been complaining about the handling, how the steering feels, yada yada yada. I don't know. I mean, I've driven the Sportback. This is my first time driving the S4 sedan. So let's check it out. All right, let me turn the air down real quick. Okay, first thing I'll tell you is the S4 that is like the new A4. It's a great new interior. We finally have some more sophistication in this sedan. It's a little bit bigger than it used to be, and of course we're missing out on a dual clutch transmission. This is actually a ZF8, but we still have Quattro. So let's take it for a spin. First things first, I'll tell you, the new gear shift is a little different for me. It takes a while to get used to, I'm sure. So I do have virtual cockpit, which is cool. In addition to virtual cockpit, I also have heads-up display. You'll see right there the heads-up. And if I push this button here, this sets the radar cruise, because this has radar cruise, just like my new Audi A3. I even have the same virtual cockpit. Well, those gauges are a little different, but it's pretty much the same thing. This does, though, have Audi's traffic jam assist. So unlike the A3, this one will follow the vehicle in front in stop and go traffic. So this is a little bit more advanced, but this is the latest and the greatest that Audi could give. You'll see here this little icon, this turns on the lane keeping. So you'll see these icons here. You'll see the lanes show up. And I can give you a more detailed view of that if I hit view. We have two different gauge setups, but I can always scroll down to driver assistance. You'll also notice here it said traffic signs, which means it'll actually do traffic sign recognition. So you can set radar cruise, and then with radar cruise set, it will adjust the speed to the new speed limit. So we're going to see if I can try that one out. Well, here we go. We're in distance 3 dynamic for cruise control, and then if we go here to drive select, you will see that drive select is in dynamic. So I want to thank Audi of South Austin for letting me take the S4 around the block. Let's go do it. Ready? We have some traffic up here, but once we get around it, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so I'm not going to open it up just yet for obvious reasons, but what else can I talk about while I'm sitting here wasting my time? I have side assist, which means that the lights on the mirrors will turn yellow when there is someone in my blind spot, or if they're approaching me too quickly from the next lane over. Okay, here we go. Right turn. Oh, yes. Woohoo! Okay, so the wisdom of Flash Gordon. I know that you left me a message asking about how the steering in the S5 Sportback felt versus the steering in the A4, S4. And while this one does have dynamic steering, and I am in dynamic mode right now, what dynamic steering will do is increase the effectiveness of the turn-in ratio. So I don't have to turn the steering wheel as much at low speeds, especially, to make any turns. And well, with the sport differential, yeah, I mean, I think it works everything out. I don't know if it is a problem. Maybe you didn't have sport differential, but I would definitely suggest you find one with sport differential and dynamic steering to see if that may be the secret to your success. In the meantime, let's take it on this typical path that I usually take and get on a freeway with decent speeds. Okay, well, it definitely picks up a lot quicker than I expect it to. It doesn't sound like it's going that fast. Definitely something to watch out for. Don't necessarily trust what you hear through the exhaust, because this car is a lot quieter than normal. I'm going to also turn off the auto stop start. Wow. Okay. So what I will tell you is I didn't drive that S5 Sportback as aggressively as I want to drive this. And I do know that the S4 holds a special place in my heart, as it should everyone else. And this also has as many of the goodies as that S5 Sportback did. So really comparing them, I would say there's not much of a difference. There might be a little bit more weight in the back of the Sportback. This, though, definitely feels a bit more solid. And I could say that because I actually own an A6 and I have driven the A7/S7 models. And it is true, those A7s and S7s feel not as tight, not as sporty as the A6 or the S6. So keep that in mind, and definitely drive these things back to back to really get a feel. Don't necessarily trust everyone on YouTube for your buying advice, okay? I'm definitely doing this for you, but I'm gonna shut up and drive now. Okay, I got screwed on that on-ramp, so I'm going to go around the block. Let's try that one more time. Plus, I'm going to put it in sport mode next time. Woo! That's a nice little... That's a clencher. Okay. So I'm going to go right back to that same street. Hopefully I'm not behind some tool again. Seems to be very typical in Austin now. And I will put it in sport mode. Oh, God. Just, you know, if you're thinking about coming to Austin, just don't, okay? That'll save me a lot of headache, and it'll actually save me a lot of time. I'll actually live a little younger because I'm not going to spend all my time behind everybody, wasting my time with my thumb up my ass. Okay, now that that truck's going, I'm going to deploy some secret sauce here. So the first thing is, I'm going to hold down the traction control button for a second, and now it says ESC off, and then I'm going to pull it down into sport and wait for the traffic to clear. You'll notice there, that's drive, that's sport. The revs increase when you're in sport mode, even when you're at a stop. Wow. 62, 66, 75, 80. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound fast at all, but it definitely gets up there. So it's kind of weird. You feel like, but then you look down and you go, okay, this is quick. So what I want to do here is find the next red light and do it again. This does not have launch control because it's not a dual clutch automatic. It's just a ZF8, but it is a quick changing automatic. You'll notice that the ZF8 is used in stuff like the Audi RS7. Okay. Now you'll hear the idle here. You hear that idle? That's sport dynamic. So that's a sport dynamic idle, and if I go here and drop it, you'll see it changes to D, and the revs drop. Let's put it back in sport. Okay, so as far as the steering, I would say in a straight line it feels like there is no resistance, and that's in dynamic mode. Of course, there are no ways to change the direct response of the steering. With this optional steering, I can't dial it in or out like I would in an Infiniti, for instance, but I do have just drive select. And in drive select, I can change it to individual mode, and I can fine tune throttle mapping, suspension, and everything else. Engine and transmission and dynamic, suspension control, let's put that in comfort, dynamic steering and comfort, sport differential, let's put that in dynamic, engine sound, gotta have dynamic, ACC auto, right? So those are all the settings, and we're gonna try this for a second. I got still traction control is in sport mode, sport off, not fully off. I can fully disable it though, but I don't feel like doing that today. It's really not my car to do it in. I would feel more comfortable if I had put a few thousand miles on the car first. The sport bucket seats are awesome, and if I press the side button, I actually activate massage. Okay, I do feel sport differential working even in a straight line. That's how much power this thing's putting down. It feels good. I guess without a ZF8, I mean, with the ZF8, the downshifts do seem a little different than they would in a DSG. That is a drawback, I think, for some people who want the full sport experience. And of course, I can show you the adjustments to the massage and the side bolsters. I can set them out, I can put them in. all sorts of adjustment for comfort here, and it definitely is an improvement over the last generation. Well, what does a 0 to 60 feel like? Not bad. The comfort mode actually feels like there's some body roll, okay? And then if I put it into auto, it should sort it out when I need it. Oh yeah, okay, so I feel like the car is pivoting around me. It's a very unique feeling. The tires may have an effect on that. I'm not quite sure yet. Okay, here's the important part. I am now coming up on traffic, right? So what I'm gonna do is press set. And when I press set, you'll see in the heads up display, it says the warning information, the speed limit and everything, but it also says a display down here about what's going on. So traffic jam assistance is active. When these lines go gray, it doesn't see any line markings, but it still sees the car in front of me. Okay, so I'm just gonna let it do its thing, and I set my speed to 22. I can increase it by pressing up. So you'll see as I hold it up, I'm increasing my speed. Let's go to like 50, okay? And now this cruise control is set to 50, and hopefully you can see everything there in the heads up as well. And you'll notice that the vehicle is pacing the truck in front, and traffic jam assist is active. Now what it will also do is follow the car in front. So if I just keep my hands off, doesn't necessarily do that. But it will come to a complete stop on its own, and then it will accelerate on its own. It knows the vehicle is gone and it goes. Now, some of you may say, oh, well, it doesn't accelerate quickly enough. I kind of agree with that, but you have to think it also has kind of like a built-in safety net, because if that person changes their mind, like a typical idiot in Austin would, then if they get back in the lane or just completely hit the brakes, I'm not accelerating into them and then having another problem, right? I'm going to actually make a U-turn here. Sometimes the radars don't necessarily recognize stopped cars, like in this case. The car has to be moving, okay? So don't necessarily think you can come up on completely stopped traffic with radar cruise on, because it doesn't work like that. Radar cruise needs to see vehicles that are currently moving, because how would it know that that's a car and not a wall, for instance? The way these systems work, this car can be what I would call semi-autonomous, and you just have to understand how the systems work. You know, like a pilot would have to understand how to fly a specific plane. You kind of need to understand how this thing's going to recognize vehicles and obstacles and traffic like that. So it is a more advanced S4, obviously, than the last generation, and if you're really into tech, this is the next generation, and this is something that will definitely tickle your fancy. I certainly like the digital displays. I definitely like the new steering wheel. You know, as far as how it feels, I got camera gear flopping around, but sounds fantastic, feels like an Audi. Obviously, you don't necessarily have to spend this much money on one, and that's the benefit. You don't have to get all these options. If you just want an S4, the bone stock gets you almost the same experience, but not all the tech, and not the carbon fiber, not the red leather. But you still get plenty of features like the navigation and the massage seats, and you can always upgrade to the virtual cockpit. Getting to the radar cruise, though, I think you must go Prestige. And that's really a benefit if you live in a place like Austin, where the traffic is terrible. But then again, as I just showed you with a crappy demonstration, it's not necessarily something you can fully rely on. And that's fine, because you shouldn't be fully relying on something to do your job anyway. So there you go, the Audi S4. Do I think it's better than the S5 Sportback? Do I think it's better than the S5? I think they're all the same at this point, and it's a matter of which style you want to go for. I still like the look of the S5 Sportback. I like the practicality of the S5 Sportback, but you know, I would never knock an S4. I think the S4 is a traditional sedan, a sports sedan in its truest form, even though it's only available in a proper ZF8 automatic, not even a dual clutch anymore. The same story, though, goes for the S5 and the S5 Sportback. So, do you want a sedan, or do you want a hatchback, or do you want a two-door coupe? Obviously, you want the V6. Thanks for watching.